So we have oil. We saw WTI today jumping above $100. Then it slipped back below that. Then it went above it again. But there's been a major rise in oil costs. And fertilizer supplies to the global market have also been disrupted. Large amounts of farm chemicals are produced in the Gulf region. Let's get more from Dec Mullarkey, Managing Director of Investment Strategy and Asset Allocation at SLC Management. Dec, great to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Good to connect, Andrew. Great to be here.
Maybe we could put up an intraday or a one-week chart for the S&P 500. The market's shaken this morning, but they have come back a bit.
Yeah, there's no question. There seemed to be a bit of dip buying. That wasn't necessarily the case last week, but it does seem like investors have reflected on what's going on over the weekend, kind of maybe put it in perspective and seem to be nibbling, certainly but just in specific sectors here. I think they're looking for value.
The market obviously trying to work out how long oil will stay in the $100 region. Maybe we can put up a one-week chart for WTI crude.
Yeah, that's the key question. I mean, what markets are dealing with right now is there's no obvious end game. There's a lot of, strategic ambiguity, let's say, around, where all this is heading. So I think markets at this point or other are looking for, okay, what's the bookend to this? And not seeing one, they're just pricing as they go. Mm-hmm. The $100 level we're at right now, that seems like it's a level that'll hang at here until it's clear. You mentioned in your intro there mm-hmm. about storage is getting pretty full. And if we get to that point, and which will start to happen in the next few weeks here, mm-hmm. you could now have an issue where, again, without any de-escalation, that oil could go to 120 to 140, which mm-hmm. would be a high when you look back historically. But we're kind of heading in that direction. Mm-hmm. We could get a spike like that.
It is interesting, though. Oil now only around 95. I mean, it's up, I know, about 5% today, but it has come off the highs of the session.
Yes, it has. It is backed up a little. I mean, some of it, I think, the suggestions about they could release some of the reserves that they have in the U.S. as part of that, separately are saying they could reach some of theirs. I think that's maybe helping markets a little. Mm-hmm. Like the one thing, though, I would kind of add, though, as well, is that the focus has been all on oil. But if you look at natural gas, which is so critical in terms of what comes out of the Gulf, out of Qatar for mm-hmm. Europe and for Asia, that's completely its own story where you've got huge spikes there. And that's really also wearing on their markets quite a bit as well. So there's a lot going on here across the commodity complex. And you mentioned fertilizer. So it's kind of all hitting at once.
Yeah, of course, North American natural gas not really showing up yet because it takes time to increase export capacity, et cetera. Maybe, you mentioned fertilizer. Maybe we could put up NTR, Nutrien. On the face of it, these higher fertilizer prices good for that company.
They certainly are. But, the interesting thing with all of this hitting with higher fertilizer prices, we're heading into planting season for farmers. So this will be the issue if they stay at these levels. That gets more expensive. Clearly, that comes through the supply chain and starts to show up in food. So there's a lot of tricky elements here that are all coming together at the same time. So there's a lot of challenge. And that's where you see inflation expectations, inching up. That's reflected in, you look at yields across the globe. That's getting factored in right now is the expectation that, maybe we'll have more sticky inflation and stay higher, which, complicates a lot of things, including affordability, but also central banks' ability to cut. So we're dealing with a lot of those, that balancing act right now.
What about we've been talking about the Mag 7 endlessly for, it seems, years now. They've kind of gone off the radar a bit with this Iran fighting. What is your overall view, though, Dec? Are you picking away at those Mag 7 stocks, some of which are down this year?
They are down this year. It's interesting. They're still, this generate terrific earnings. as a bit of an aside, last week, the best performing sector in the S&P 500 was software. It had been maligned, and obviously it had been, in some respects, written off because of all of the damage that AI could do to it. And yet investors woke up and said, hey, there's still value here. So I think we're going through that kind of discovery where investors are saying, okay, how much of, who's going to make money on AI? Where is that going to come through? So that theme is continues to percolate through markets. And I think that adjustment continues to get made, but these companies are still good. And that's why, holding a very balanced portfolio is the best approach, generally one of the best approaches in these types of environments, because it's just hard to know where the swings will go and ultimately where you land. But the one thing I will say is that investors, certainly in the U.S., are not materially repositioning away from equities. They are within it, but not materially away from equities.
What about gold, Dec? Are your clients or are your colleagues saying, hey, let's get some more bullion in here as a haven?
I think anyone, so it's a great question, although gold and silver did not perform very well last week. No. And some of that, it could be just profit taking. I mean, you always have to put these in perspective. There's been such a run up. But I think you look across what most advisors are telling their clients entering this year was, okay, gold is a good diversifier, and same thing for the other precious metals. So I think that will continue, but there has been a leveling off in some of those levels, and I think that's healthy. So from here, it's hard to know where the gains are going to come from. But I do think companies in general, if we can get beyond this, will continue to turn out good earnings. So there's still a lot to like about equities.
Dec, thank you very much indeed. Dec Mullarkey joining us there. Really appreciate it. Managing Director of Investment Strategy and Asset Allocation at SLC Management.